So like up here where they're talking about the non-essential modifiers, that example is on page 170 for me. If we're talking about anything on here, I've gone through and went and found an example or two and then wrote down the page numbers where I could find it. That way I know exactly what they're talking about, because just saying it here and underlining it and rewriting it right here is one thing, but I need to go find it in the book. Our code first alert that is right here, I had to go find it under this code, and that code is on page 477. And then another example is a code for any causal condition, right? That example is on page 997. And then when I get there, I can see it in person, what it looks like. 177. 117. So like the acute and chronic condition, that is our guideline for the same condition as described as both acute and subacute and chronic in a separate sub-entry exists in the alphabetical index on the same indention line. Code both and sequence acute, subacute first. What the heck that means is that your alphabetical index starts out right here with this sentence that says the vertical yellow line appears on the second and fourth indention throughout the index. That's all because of the acute and chronic condition, right? So all of these words are all either here, or they're indented over, or they're indented even further. So if I go to the condition of cystitis, cystitis, you can see that that word has an indented yellow line that comes down, and the word acute is right there. And then if you keep going down that yellow line, you'll see the word chronic. And if acute and chronic both start with the A and the C on the same indention line, then you can bill them on the same patient on the same day for the same office visit. Acute will just go first. Sometimes some diagnoses will have acute on one yellow indention line, and then chronic will be scoochied over. That means you can't bill them together on the same day. So if you understand what they're talking about, that is super helpful, and that is a rough guideline to know when it's 2 sentences long and they don't tell you where nothing is, and you got to go find what that means. Who knew what a separate sub-entry existing in the alphabetical index at the same indention level meant, right? And that sentence at the very front of your alphabetical index is the one that they're talking about. The vertical yellow line appears. They don't tell you anything about a vertical yellow line in that guideline, but this is exactly just from that acute and chronic condition. So going throughout the book and looking up this information, another example is thyroiditis. That one has an acute and chronic on the same indention line. So going through, finding examples, and actually writing down the page numbers in your guidelines for every single sentence throughout all 36 pages is a nightmare to do. But if you do it, you will learn a lot more about the guidelines and learn more about what to look for. Plus, you'll have your book written up here in the front. You'll also have it written up at the beginning of your guideline where you need to look for things, and then you'll have even more examples written throughout your book. If you find, at least 2 examples for every little one, Here's one for a default code that's in our guidelines.